Hello, my name is Monica Mann, and I wanted to share with you a very unique opportunity in Michigan with two MHP mobile home park portfolio deals. They're being sold by a single bank, and right now it's a short sale opportunity, but what we're waiting for is that it will turn into a foreclosure opportunity very soon. Currently, there are no interested investors in this property deal. We've already done our research, and we've discovered that this is going to be a foreclosure. In fact, it's already in receivership, and so we're actually waiting for the formal foreclosure. We've already been in communication with the bank, and they've already preliminarily agreed to holding 90% of the paper in the form of a new mortgage on both of these properties. And so we've already done our due diligence as far as the actual financing portion goes, but we're just waiting for the formal foreclosure to take place before we actually jump on this property deal. Now, as you can see that these properties are actually located in Michigan, and here's the aerial map. They're actually quite a distance apart from one another. If you take a look at the Michigan map here, you'll see that Swartz Creek is actually to the west of Flint, Michigan, and Robin Glen is actually north of Saginaw, Michigan as well. So it's actually in a close proximity somewhat in the state of Michigan. And as you know, as an investor, you'd probably think that most Michigan properties are just not very sought after right now, but that's what makes this opportunity so unique. Is the fact of the matter is that not a lot of investors are looking at the state of Michigan right now, and so this is actually a diamond in the rough. Currently right now, this property cash flows if we actually get it at the price that we think we can get it for. The bank actually wants a somewhat of a ridiculous amount of money for it, but we've already had communications with the asset management department, and they've indicated that they're willing to drop the asking price. Now, let me just give you a little bit of information about the parks. There's Robin Glen, which has 505 pads. Currently, right now, the adjusted rent is $306 per pad. This is a resident-owned park. It's not a park-owned park. And so therefore we have complete pass-through, and therefore each individual resident who's on the property actually owns his or her own mobile home or trailer unit that's actually on the pad. So that's a tremendous benefit when it comes to not having to deal with any kind of maintenance issues. Swartz Creek has 584 pads, and the rent right now is $335 per month. And so there's some issues as far as the tenancy levels, but the reason there's a tenancy level issue is that this has been going through a short sale / foreclosure type of situation for the last year, and the current owner of the property is actually not managing the property anymore. He's sort of walked away from the property, which is the major reason as to why the occupancy level has slipped on both properties. So right now we have a 32% occupancy level on Swartz Creek and a 45% occupancy level on Robin Glen. So if we take a look at the numbers of each one, and I will show you what the numbers of each one. We're going to first look at Swartz Creek. We're going to take a look at what we have here. And at the current asking price, which again I think is a little high, but we've already preliminarily discussed dropping the asking price. It's $5.3 million is what they're asking. They're willing to hold 90% of the paper on the property, and that means that they're looking for 10% down, which would be $530,000. And so if you look at what the full occupancy level would actually bring, the gross operating income would be around $2.4 million a year. We figure that expenses currently right now are running at about 45% of the GOI, and therefore we have expenses at just under $1.1 million a year, and we're looking at a cash flow if in a perfect world this was actually a property that had 100% occupancy. Now, the likelihood of 100% occupancy on this particular property is probably next to nil because it is west of Flint, Michigan. And that would of course bring us at a 21, almost a 22% cap rate. However, that's not a likelihood on this particular property. We would easily be able to assume that we could get the occupancy level back up to at least 60% within a 12 to 18 month time frame. And so at a 60% occupancy level, that would actually bring quite a bit of cash flow. Obviously not the cash flow that we're looking at right now in this presentation, but it would actually bring quite a bit of cash flow. We're actually looking at changing the cash flow, if it is a 60% occupancy, to this amount right here. And then, of course, at a 45% expense ratio on the GOI, we're looking at changing our expense ratio to this. And we still have a very good cash flow. We're looking at just under $30,000 a month, or annually about $350,000. And now, preliminarily, as I had already discussed before, the bank was actually indicating that they're willing to drop the asking price by $1 million, and so therefore the outlay for the down payment requirement would be $430,000 on the $4.3 million asking price, and then it would bring up our cash flow to $35,000, provided that we can actually get the occupancy level up. But in the event that we're unable to get the occupancy level up, we would still be able to make quite a bit of money on this property, because right now approximately $750,000 is the actual current GOI on this particular property. And even at a 50% expense ratio on the GOI, we still are down to this. So we're walking into a property with cash flow, so it only has upside from this point forward. And so again, my prediction is that we could actually get it up to a 60% occupancy level within a 12 to 18 month time frame, and actually take a cash flow around $35,000 a year. And then with the other property, Rob and Glen, they want a $4.1 million asking price. And they're again willing to take 90% of the paper on a new mortgage, and they're looking for 10% down, which would be $410,000. And therefore, we're looking currently right now, if this was a perfect world, of course, at 100% occupancy level, this is what we'd be looking at for a cash flow. However, we're not looking at 100% occupancy level. Right now, there's a 45%, and our calculations state that we could easily get this to an 80% occupancy level within the next 12 to 18 months. So therefore, we're looking at changing this amount from 1.8 to just under 1.5. Okay, and then at a 45% expense ratio on the GOI, we're looking at this. And then this is what we're actually looking for cash flow, and that's again at an 80% occupancy level, which our market research has shown that we can actually easily get it to an 80% occupancy within a 12-month time frame. In fact, more than likely it'll be a 9-month time frame that we're looking at. So preliminarily, we've discussed with the bank that they're willing to drop this right now to 3.5. And so therefore, again, this actually just hikes up the amount of monthly cash flow. So between the two properties, we're looking at actually $40,000 here and $35,000 on the other property. So actually total, we're looking at about $75,000 a month in cash flow, and therefore we're looking at around $900,000 a year in cash flow from these two particular properties. But right now we are looking for our down payment right now with an investor partner. We already have our people in place for management. So we're actually currently just looking for the down payment. We're looking for an investor who would like to split this asset with us. For the down payment, we'll take care of all of the actual management, the day-to-day management, increasing the occupancy level and so forth. So we're looking for $780,000 from an investor who's willing to put it into somewhat of a risky type of situation with mobile home parks in Michigan. However, the upside is absolutely incredible. In fact, there's no downside to this, because remember, each of these properties currently already have a cash flow walking in, and it's just a matter of making the cash flow even better. So again, we're looking at quite a bit of cash flow between the two properties. Again, $900,000 a year. And we're looking to actually split that with the investor who actually comes in with the $780,000 down payment. And, we're looking for someone who's willing to do a longer term type of investment, at least 5 years before we'd actually sell the property or buy you out. So if you're interested, absolutely contact me on this and I will give you more information.